David Chipman, Emily Edmonton City Secretary. I've really enjoyed the discussion tonight, and I've had the chance to talk with many of you over the last couple of years about things here. One of the things I did want to ask, in all of this discussion for myself being working at the provincial level, in your view, what, if anything, can and should the provincial government be doing to support the innovation community here in Edmonton?
Great question.
Chris is taking a pass on this. And it's a really interesting question, and it's a discussion that's been going on in the community, I think, almost at a fever pitch over the last year. What role does government, provincial government, municipal government play in this? And it's a really tough question to answer. I think the consensus is emerging that there is a role to play, but it's a supportive role. It's not a leadership role. And that gets back to some of my earlier comments around we need to bring voices into these decision-making processes that represent the people who are actually impacted by this investment. There are programs through Alberta Innovates that have helped companies that I've worked with incredibly, helped us take advantage of opportunities that we wouldn't have otherwise. My concern more lies around what, I guess, at the end of the day, if you put $1 in to some of these organizations, what comes out on the other side in terms of dollars that actually help me and my company? And that doesn't have to be direct investment, it doesn't have to necessarily be money in my bank account, but what really helps me versus how much of that dollar is spent on this bloat of these organizations that I think over the last decade have really been allowed to emerge.
That's a tough one. I think that government has to play a role. It can't be. I lean to the right, and I think that too much government involvement is a bad thing, quite frankly. I think, though, if you look at every single successful innovation ecosystem in the world, starting with Silicon Valley, government did play a role. And so I think it's the wrong answer is, we should be in the business of being business, we shouldn't play a role at all, or there's a role, that is wrong. I can talk about a lot of things what I think should happen, I'll be up here too long. So we have to be intelligent about it, and we have to engage the community to Ashley's point. But also I think it's also fair to say that if we did cut all the programs we have now, our innovation ecosystem is not sustainable. And I think our goal should be sustainability, where if you look at Austin, you look at Seattle, you look at Silicon Valley, Toronto, if you took out all the government supports, they'd probably survive. Like things would keep going, the flywheel's there. I don't think we're there yet in Alberta. So some government role is important, and we probably should look at best practices globally and not consider what Alberta's done in the past is what we should be doing in the future.
So I think that's a really great question, and one of the best things I think the government can do is reduce barriers and make sure we're competitive. So regardless of your philosophy, when you look at what other governments are doing in Ontario and BC, they're providing incentives, they're cutting taxes, and that's work. That's how Quebec has created their gaming industry. That's how Vancouver's created their gaming industry. We were late in the game for that tax break for the interactive digital technologies, right? So that's one thing that the government can do. And the other thing that I think we haven't touched upon yet is supporting our education. So helping our universities really pump out the talent that we need. So perhaps that's looking at how do we further support our computing sciences programs, our business programs. How do we create programs in junior high or in elementary to really encourage that entrepreneurial spirit in Edmonton and in Alberta? So we can kind of circumvent some of the political parts of, whether government should be helping or not by looking at what else, like a higher level, that education piece can really support our ecosystem. And I think you'd be hard pressed to find someone that says, no, we shouldn't have more computing science students here, right? So that would help our system. We do know we need more talent here, and that's a great place to start.
We got a couple hours?
I guess I just want to comment that I think that we've heard nothing from this provincial government about economic diversification, and particularly knowledge economy diversification, which is, I think, a looming crisis as much as almost any other crisis that we see coming from an Alberta context around so much dependence on energy. It's the reason I get so passionately involved in this conversation, is because I think it's the major fiscal crisis we're going to encounter. And so, for a fiscal conservative, I'm surprised we don't hear from our government about how they want to help foster innovation and diversity in our economy. But that said, I don't think we help ourselves with reaching out to the provincial government, making this a non-partisan conversation. The tech commercialization and economic diversification is not a partisan conversation. It is not. It is the reality that we're all facing, and our kids will face. And so I think there just needs to be effort. I mean, the problem we've got is put us an IT server farm in Vegreville. That's what the government thinks tech commercialization is, as opposed to a smart policy that incents certain behavior and economic activity. So the investor tax credit, which I know, David, you're a big supporter of, and I know you're going to talk about that, but that was good policy. We've done it with our energy and oil sands in the past. It was not picking favorites. It was essentially providing a tax incentive to people that would risk money on economic opportunity or ideas. So that's been idled, I think. We don't know what the future of it is. I'm not up to speed 100%, but I know the government has said they've been basically saying they're going to put it off to the side. That's a mistake. So I think we just need to see some policy come out. We need to have some nonpartisan conversation, and I hope our city leads a conversation with the provincial government saying, Edmonton, it's important to Edmonton, and so we got to get our shit together, our organizations, and then ask for the provincial government to assist. So those are my opinions.
Thank you. Great question.
Can you make the question